Have you ever been forced to pay for something, and I mean forced to pay for something, and you never got anything in return? That can happen. My name is Dan Schaefer, previous Democratic candidate running for the Missouri House of Representatives, District 97. So what on earth am I talking about? Well, what I'm talking about here is Proposition 1, which passed in Missouri back in 1976. Now, voters made a clear decision at that point to not allow utility companies to charge for construction of new power plants until those power plants went online. Now, this statute ensured that customers were shielded from financial risks associated with construction delays, cost overruns, outright project failures, and yes, corruption. I'll get into that shortly. Now, the problem now is that I'm looking at these pre-filed bills. I'm looking at HB 50, which was introduced by State Representative Willard Haley. He seeks to carve out an exception from this rule for what they call small modular reactors. These are SMRs. These are small nuclear power plants generating about 300 megawatts of electricity. Now that's compared to like the big nuclear power plant out in Callaway, which generates about 1,100 megawatts of electricity. These smaller ones are more regional and are easier to construct and perhaps a lot cheaper. Obviously, they're going to be a lot cheaper. The problem is that he wants utility companies to be able to charge us on our utility bills for the construction costs of these small nuclear power plants. This is called construction work in progress, or CWIP. CWIP financing offloads all the risk from the utility companies and puts it onto the customers. So leaving customers on the hook for construction delays or anything else that could come up while the power plant is being built. Now, to me, it starts up a slippery slope, because once you get an exception for these small nuclear power plants, it could open up the door for much larger types of projects, and it also opens up the door for corruption. Because just take a look at what happened in Ohio pretty recently. Ohio's first energy scandal, in particular, customers were forced to cover major cost overruns and fund a nuclear project that was embroiled in a corruption scandal. First Energy admitted that they paid over $60 million in bribes to secure favorable legislation. Who do you think paid those bribes ultimately? It was the customers on their utility bills. South Carolina has a similar story with their VC Summer project, where customers paid billions of dollars for a nuclear project that was never completed. They didn't receive 1 watt of electricity, yet they paid billions of dollars through their utility bills. So these are the things I'm really quite concerned about, because if we have an exception to that Proposition 1 rule that was passed in 1976, in other words, if HB 50 becomes effective, we are basically becoming unwitting investors in these projects. And we're starting with small nuclear projects, but maybe it goes even larger than that. I don't like the idea of us being on the hook and taking all the financial risks. I think that if utility companies want to invest in these small nuclear power plants, I have no problem with that. We can discuss the safety of nuclear power plants and all the pros and cons as a different discussion. But I have no problems with that as long as they are financing it through traditional means, either through, say, government grants or bonds, or maybe even bank loans or something like that. So that's my problem with HB 50. As I said in the previous few videos, I've been looking at the pre-filed bills. I came across HB 50 and it kind of tweaked me sideways, because I was already familiar with the first energy scandal in Ohio, and I was concerned that the same thing could be happening in Missouri. So take a look at HB 50 and take a look at all the pre-filed bills, because there's a lot going on there that you need to know about. Again, I'm Dan Schaefer, previous Democratic candidate running for the Missouri House of Representatives, District 97. Thank you for your time.